Hello, race fans. Welcome to Short Track Guys podcast, brought to you by ShortTrackExclusives.com. I'm your host, Thomas Vaddis, alongside two other Short Track guys and good friends of mine, Jim Pokrant, driver of the 07, Can'tQuitFishing.com sportsman here locally at Five Flag Speedway, and Ted Baber of Ted Baber Video Productions, also locally here in Pensacola. What's up, guys?
Good evening.
Greetings. How we doing?
Yeah. Well, we've got quite a bit to get to. We had a rain delay last Friday. We had some technical difficulties last week. We skipped a week. We're going to catch up. Friday night was an eventful night, I understand. And this is, Jim, now this is your second week with the points lead. And
Yes.
the next event won't be until the 24th, which is a part of the doubleheader of the Blizzard Series. On Saturday night, you're going to run with the Outlaws. What's it been like these 2 weeks with the points lead?
Pretty cool. Like I said, the week before, we had a lot of difficulty with a certain other family, and we had some issues, but we ended up getting a sizable point lead because they threw the 00 out for some illegal parts, which is Brandon Fowler, and nothing against him personally. He's a great driver, good car, but they had some stuff they weren't supposed to have. So we got the point lead. We showed up this past Friday night. My teammate Brock Gentz had some issues with his fuel pump and some other things, and we had, thrashed to get his car running while I got tires ready and got ready for qualifying. And we had group qualifying where we get 10 minutes. Everybody gets to go out and qualify, and I sized my tires, put them on the car, and I left the right front low, went out to qualify, and I qualified third, a tenth off of the fastest time with 15 pounds of air in my right front, supposed to have 25. Dummy me, that was my fault 100%. My crew got there late, and one of my crew members has just had shoulder surgery, Will Hay, and he can't do a lot. So, it's a little more burden on me, but it's okay. I got the tires ready for my car and Brock's car, and went out, started third in the heat race, dropped a green flag, and in about 2 laps, I was leading, won my heat race, which was pretty nice. It's great to get a sit in victory lane, even if it's a heat race. Then went out for the feature, and of course, I won the fast heat, so I got to roll the dice, and we rolled a 3, so that means that's where we started. Dropped a green, and it wasn't long. I was a third of the track ahead and long gone. Man, that car was driving so nice, and we're just out there cruising. And a guy he's from Panama City, and I can't think of his name, and Billy Hoover got into it and wound up having to have a restart. And on the restart, the 19 of Daryl McDonald III was on the outside. And for some reason, he was leaning on my fenders and my door on the right side and kind of slowed up my momentum. And the one car of Maddox Langham snuck by us. And we wound up finishing second. The car got loose at the end. We chasing some sway bar issues, which I'm going to have fixed before this next race. Wound up driving her back on the trailer in a solid second place finish, and I gained 6 points. So, we're looking pretty good, and the car's fast, and this next race is 1,000 to win, and I know we got a car that can win the race. So we're going to get a lot of prep done. I got 5 days off for this holiday weekend coming up, and I'm taking that thing apart from one end to the other. And also some news, we have a chance to get the motor redone if I can get a hold of Coastal Engine and Machine. A good buddy of mine, Rocky Boyd II, offered the money to get the motor redone. He would loan me the money to get the motor redone, and so we're going to try to get that done possibly before this next race. If not, by the run after that, we'll have a fresh motor in the car.
Wow, you would think, but the car being in such good shape, you've got a 26-point lead coming up, and you've got some, time off. You really wouldn't mess with it, but that's not really how it works, is it?
No, and the main stuff I'm doing is maintenance. I haven't checked the front ball joints in a couple of races, and it's time to lubricate the lower control arms in the front. You got to keep all that loosened up, so I'll take all that apart, clean it up, clean up the bushings, check the ball joints. If it needs ball joints, I'm going to replace them. There's a couple of little things we're going to do to try to gain a little speed. Definitely new plugs, probably some, if we don't get the motor redone, definitely do valve springs. And just, some additives to the transmission in the rear end to try to slicken it up a little bit and just go from there.
Right. And Ted, you were up there doing the whole video production thing and, just doing the witness from up above. And what from your perspective,
I have to make one comment before the racing even got started. It's a little bit off the subject a little bit, but the cutest 5-year-old girl I've ever seen in my life did the national anthem, and she did an outstanding
Yes,
job.
she did. Yes, she did.
It
Wow.
was so cute.
That was awesome. I was sitting in the car, I started right there, and that little girl did such a great job. That was pretty neat.
Yeah, I love that to death. That was the best thing ever. I've seen a lot of stuff. That was so cute.
Yeah.
I know it's a little off the subject, but
No, that's fine. That's fine. Is she? Do you have a name? Is she
I
local?
do not. Yeah, she is local, but I don't know her name, unfortunately.
And she knew all the words. She didn't miss a single word. 5 years old. I'm like, dude, that's how you raise kids. Teach them to love this country.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love to hear that. That's anytime you have that national anthem that's done the right way.
It's a positive note. It just
Definitely.
but yeah, the racing was absolutely outstanding. I tell you, the pure stock race, the feature was
Good show.
something.
Good show. They were putting on a show, son.
And 3 wide going into turn 3. I'm like, yeah, this is not going to work, guys. Somebody's going to have to back it off, or we're going to have some bent metal and hurt feelings.
They had a few, but it's some beating and banging that went on. But it was a good race. I mean, they were running the dog snot out of those cars.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I've neglected to mention is we have a tire shortage right now. And we were only allowed to buy 1 tire, them 2.
Right.
You know, and we had to turn 3 tires in. We normally turn 2 in and get to buy 2 more. Well, right now, the way the tire shortage is, we can't do that. And we got a 35 lap race, and my right front tire started to blister at the end of that 25 laps. It was a used tire. I put my new one on the right rear. So we got to try to figure something out, because I'm going to tell you, they need to let us put some more camber in the right front or something, because we can't have that. It's gonna hurt us.
Right. Somebody, you take a chance on blowing one, it won't take long. That extra 10 laps may not sound like much, but it's a lot on that tire when it starts.
I've been in Mobile and running second and have the right front start chunking out on me with like 2 laps to go, and you're like, should I lift or let them go or just run hard? Well, if it pops, it pops. You know, we're just going to keep digging. That's what we got to do. You know, we just got to take care of our tires. But I mean, this tire shortage thing, hopefully it'll get better by the Derby.
Right.
But it just stinks having to turn in 3 tires instead of 2, and you're only allowed to buy 1. It hurt.
Yeah, I have some concerns about the Derby. How's that going to work out? Hopefully this situation will be taken care of by then, and won't have a supply problem, because if you're that short on tires and the big teams come in and they're going to try to buy up everything in sight, that's going to create a problem for everybody else.
Well, you just limit everybody to 4 tires. I mean, you got to buy them the day of the race. No getting tires early. I mean, there's ways around it, but it's just you got to want to do it. You know?
And like you said, that policing that could be a nightmare too.
Well, as long as they use that scan tool and they scan those tires and that little barcode's on there, they know where you bought the tire, because their tires are all scanned in when they bring them in. Right. So when he takes that little thing, goes, they'll know where it came from.
And no bringing them in from outside.
No, not at all.
Well, you got your work cut out for you, really, if, from what you just said, in the next 3 weeks to get ready for that Saturday night, which is part of that doubleheader on the 23rd and 24th, with bonuses now on the line with the Blizzard Series.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I heard and have read, and actually am reading, that there's potential that a driver could walk off with $40,000 for the weekend.
Right.
That's pretty sporty for 200 lappers.
And I think, isn't it a possibility if they get the pole, they get a pole award too? Or something?
Probably so, yeah. I would imagine. I think they do have a pole award.
So that's
Yep.
40,500, or I believe that's right.
And that kind of money is going to bring some heavy hitters.
Everybody's going to be here for that one.
Yeah.
Tune up for the Derby or not. You know, it's still going to bring a lot of good talent, and it's going to be a whale of a race or races.
Yeah. Well, you know, you just hit the heavy hitter word, and we've got something coming up here Tuesday night up in Wisconsin, and it is the 42nd annual Slinger Nationals.
That's huge.
And the list, I think there's like 35 or 38 drivers that are listed.
Right.
Yep. It's the who's who of Northwest late model racers, and some from the South. I mean, you know, it's usually, you know, a lot of big names go up there because the money is incredible.
Right.
And it's the prestige. That's, like you said, that's like winning a snowball derby. And it's a 1/4-mile racetrack. And if you ever watch those guys get around there, it's impressive.
They're getting it. It reminds me of well, I can't even think where I'm trying to go with this. But those short tracks are just the laps click off so quick. You don't have any time to wait. You've got to get on it. And get on it quick.
Oh yeah, and it's what's the old saying? They're like fighter pilots in a gymnasium. Especially that little old track, and I mean they haul the mail around that place, son.
Yeah.
Like trying to wrap up a cat fight in duct tape.
Yeah.
I think they're doing sub 12-second laps.
Yeah.
And Little Bull Ring, and Steve Apel, Rich Bickle, John DeAngelis, Steve Dorr, Luke Fenhouse, Jake Garcia, Carson Hocevar, Eric Jones, which is actually teaming up with John DeAngelis in a sponsorship deal there. Carson Kvapel, Jesse Love from California, Ty Majeski. The list goes on with these guys, and I've just mentioned maybe a dozen, but there's 3 times that are lined up for this race on Tuesday night in Wisconsin at Slinger Super Speedway, and it's going to be an event to keep up with. If you can find it somehow online, or just keep up with it through some racing news, it's a big deal. You'll see those dozen names or so in December here come for the Snowball Derby, and possibly half of them in a Blizzard race getting tuned up for that. So it's a big deal as far as the super late models go.
Right.
Oh yeah, I mean the names on that list are awesome drivers, and even some of the local guys up there have a shot at winning that race. Zach Purdy, guys like that, man, they run that track regularly, and they'll sneak up on and take the money away from the big dogs. Of course, Ty Majeski's won that race a few times. He'll be a contender as always. Yep. And would love to see Rich Bickle get it in his final season. That would be another Cinderella story.
And to see some guy named Nassie on that list too. So.
Yeah,
I believe it. Let me see. Let me get a little closer and get my glasses on. Yeah, Steve Nassie, of course.
Yeah.
He's been a big hitter. He's going to Nashville. He comes here with the Blizzard Series. He races down, I think he's from Pinellas Parks, Florida, so he's going to be trekking all the way up to Wisconsin to kind of show what he's got. But, I don't think he has to show much. He's always, at least a top 5 contender to win. So, and then Alex Dennis and Zach Prunty. Don't know really if that's a 3 generation, but I do know that they are related. They're all going to be there with Sammy Smith. It's just, the list goes on and on. It's just going to be an incredible event.
Yeah, Dennis Prunty's a guy that's come down here and made the Derby a few times, and he should be a contender when he comes down. There's times he has been, times he hasn't been. But I'm going to tell you something. The only name missing off that list is Bubba Pollard.
Well,
yeah. Yeah, we're going to get into Bubba here just in a little bit, because there's some news that just broke yesterday, I believe, that came out about what Bubba's plans are and where he's headed next. We miss him, but I think he's backed up a little bit to reevaluate his plans, and I think he's got some big races lined up here for sure.
I'm sure he'll be in Pensacola for them Blizzard races, because he's the winningest Blizzard driver in Five Flags history. So
yeah, he is scheduled to be here on the 23rd and 24th for that doubleheader. I believe the first event is on the Cars Tour with the Port City. Yeah, with the Jennerstown with a Port City race car.
He's moved to Port City. That was the big story this week. He got away from Seneca, and it makes you wonder. Him and Seneca had so much success, and then the end of last year, it's like they won in New Smyrna, and then all of a sudden, Seneca goes away and he drives a Van Dorn car at the Derby. He drove a Seneca in the Alan Turner race and got dumped by Stephen Nassie, by the way. But that's just part of racing. But the fact that he came here with a Seneca and ran it and didn't do really all that well, it makes you wonder. How can you go from kicking butt with a car? It's like, maybe they took the technology away from him. Maybe him and Seneca had a falling out. I don't know. But, he won't go anywhere that he don't think he can be competitive. So I'm sure Port City's stepping up the game for him.
It'd have to be, or he wouldn't go with them, because he
started in Port City. So his first late models were Port City cars, so he kind of knows them. But I think as manufacturers, especially late models, the technology moves from manufacturer to manufacturer. One manufacturer finds something, they're not going to tell anybody.
No.
That's why they hang those curtains of the rear wheels and everything, so you can't see inside what they're doing.
The butt skirts.
Yeah. Years ago, they went to these high dollar coilovers. And Dick Anderson, probably about 10 years ago, went back to a big spring late model and kicked the crap out of them because he found some old technology. It seems like the more technology gets new, the more it reverts back to old. You know what I mean? It's something they'll find that they used 10 years ago that may not work for a little while, and then they go to the bump rubbers and they change something, and then all of a sudden they find something that worked 10 years ago that works now.
You just never know where the next little bit of speed's going to come from when something like that takes place, but you got to keep up.
Well, yeah, and not off change the subject of Bubba, but I was listening to Clint Boyer on the Dale Jr. Download earlier today, and he was talking about how that they use engineers in dirt late model racing. I'm like, see, that's what ruins short track racing. You're going to get an engineer involved, and because I mean, they put dirt late models now in wind tunnels. I mean, they ought not allow that. They ought to tell them, if you do that, then you're not done. You're done in our series. You're not going to get to run, because the average guy who builds a dirt late model or an asphalt late model or a street stock in his garage can't afford a wind tunnel.
No.
But yet you're affiliated with a cup team and you're getting all that free technology. And I don't feel that's right. That's just my opinion. That hurts short track racing.
Well, you're basically trying to buy a championship by just pouring enough money into the situation where you can get everything, and it's just not right. That
Twitter video right there that you got up there, Thomas, that it's pretty neat. It shows Bubba driving the car, and it ain't lettered or numbered yet. It's a white Port City car, but it's all brand new, and he's testing somewhere, and he showed him like driving it up and down a driveway somewhere out in front of his shop.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat. I watched it earlier.
Yeah, just look at Bubba Pollard 26 on Twitter, and you'll see it, and just kind of give it a watch, and you'll know what we're talking about. He is the Bubba racing for
That's
sure.
right. There is only one Bubba.
Correct.
Not that jackwad Darrell Walsh, who finished in the top 5 because of gas mileage this weekend, and yet they're praising him like he just outdrove everybody in NASCAR. And I'm like, okay, Kyle Busch won on gas mileage. I get he got where he's at by gas mileage, but he'll be back running 25th or 26th next week. We're not worried about him. It's terrible.
Well, that's going to be July 3rd at Jennerstown.
Yeah.
It is called the American Freedom 300, and he's scheduled to compete in the Blizzard Series, of course, the 23rd and 24th. It is the 23rd and 24th, right?
Yes, 23rd and 24th. Yes.
24th and 25th here, as well as the Cars Tour Throwback 276 at Hickory on the 31st. So he's got some big events coming up here with that Port City. So it'd be interesting. I'd love to see him go 4-0.
Oh, that'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
For him to come back, because I'm going to tell you something. That joker right there, when he went on a tear a few years ago, it was a shame on you. If he showed up, he was running for second.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And at Five Flags, you know what I love is the fact that he won't qualify all that great, but he works on race setup. He don't work on qualifying setup. He works on old tires. Everybody else is bolting on new tires and trying stuff. He's staying on the old tires and changing sway bars and shocks. And when he gets that thing right, so he'll run about 8th place, and then towards the end of the race, the leader will be out there ways, and you'll see Bubba just you'll look on your race monitor and you start watching the lap times. He's a 10th quicker here, and he's 2/10 there, and then all of a sudden, dun it, dun it, here he comes, dun 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 dun. And he just eats you up, man, and he just goes right by you.
He takes care of equipment. He's methodical. He kind of is patient, which it's hard to do. It's hard to be patient because you got the drone,
Yes,
you got everything.
yeah.
But he knows it's a long way. He knows about when to, kind of step it up and take care of his equipment.
If you ever watched, like, sometimes when he's running his car, he does a real weird arc into turn 1. Sit down there in turn 1 sometime and watch him early in the race. He does this really wide little weird arc, and he arcs the car in the center of the corner and drives it straight off. And when he goes, that goes away because then he's just running the dog. But he does that little arc, and I guess it's my best guess is he's saving the tires.
Yeah.
Because, dude, when it's time to go, son, 9 times out of 10, it's especially at Five Flags.
He flips a switch and he's gone.
Yeah, I mean, especially as rough as that old surface is. That track is rough, son. It's that old girl ain't been paved since '73, and there's everybody debates it. We need to pave it. They need to pave it. No, leave it alone.
Yeah.
Leave her alone. I like that old track the way it is.
I think tracks around the country, especially short tracks that have that much history, I think drivers are all in favor of just letting it, patch it here and there and fix what you can, weepers or whatever you got going on. But if you're totally going to resurface it, you're cutting history off and starting another, which, I mean, it could be good or bad, either way you
Yeah.
look at it. But majority of the drivers, I would assume, is they just leave it like it is.
Well, leave it in the hands of the driver, not just technology.
Exactly.
Well, when you pave it, you're going to gain speed. You're going to blister tires. They paved Mobile back in 2004, I think. And I was running there in '05, and you'd blister tires because the track had so much grip. We used an old trick. Go out and run about 5 good hard laps and have 5 buckets of water. And as soon as the tires come in, just splash them with water, and it'd shock the tire, and it would harden it up.
Right. Yeah.
Mark Davis told me that one time. Stephen Davis, he was a big name in late model and truck racing around. Stephen still is, and his dad was a hell of a race car driver in his day in Mobile, and they helped me a lot years ago, and he taught me a lot of things.
Well, we got Friday night results. You're sitting with the points lead. Mm-hmm. You're going to get ready to go on the 24th on that Saturday night with a doubleheader, the Blizzard Series. The 42nd annual Slinger Nationals on Tuesday. That's July 6th in Slinger Super Speedway. A lot of big names.
Right. Good show.
And another one that we have to get back to, which was just this past weekend, was the JEG CRA All-Star Tour at Killcare Raceway, which is in Dayton, Ohio. It's a little outside of Dayton. It's in Xenia. If I did pronounce that right, I'm not sure. It was the Dayton 100. And the 2000 NASCAR Cup Series champion, Bobby Labonte, was in the field for the first time in a late model in 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And he came in second.
Bobby's a wheel man, always has been. He's been racing modified NASCAR modifieds, wheel and tour modifieds this year.
Yeah.
I heard him talk about it, and those cars are hellacious to drive. And late models, man, you got to know what you're doing. It's not easy as everybody thinks it is, and that's pretty cool. I didn't know he run second. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, Kyle Jones, he actually set fast time, and the invert put him back a little bit, and he worked his way back up, and Kyle Jones held him off, and it was Bobby Labonte, and then Cody Coughlin in the Jegs car, and then Cody Swanson, which is another name that if you've been paying attention to Superstars Racing Experience on CBS on Saturday nights, Doug Coby winning at Stafford, and Tony Stewart wins in Knoxville with Haley Deegan finishing second to Tony Stewart, and then Tony Stewart, which a co-founder, finished first again at Eldora.
Well, he better win at Eldora. He owns the damn place.
I know, right?
He's got more laps around there than anybody in that field, in the water truck sometimes too. I hear he's a hands-on owner. He'll drive the water truck. He'll drive a Packer car. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, Cody Swanson there with the SRX experience, and then Tanner Jack rounded out the top 5 there. And I just thought that was pretty cool that you do a little history on Killcare, and it goes back a long time. It's got a lot of history, a lot of tradition. And, Bobby Labonte, Cody Coughlin, Cody Swanson, all these guys, the big names that we're throwing out there that are racing all over the country. And this weekend seems to be one of the bigger weekends of super late model racing, of short track racing, even with the modifieds. And speaking of big names, how about Mr. Kyle Larson that pulled off another win at Grandview Speedway last night in the sprint car in the Pennsylvania Speed Week? This dude just cannot stop winning.
They might as well just pencil his name in on the trophy every week.
I think so. I think, he's just he hit the wall at Pocono, leading one of the double headers with the last lap, blew a left front, hit the wall, and just never lifted, and drove that thing down the wall all the way to the start-finish line and finished where he finished. I mean, the dude is amazing. He's just got talent no matter what he gets in. I mean, I would love to see him come run a snowball derby and see how he would do in an asphalt late model, just because of the feel the guy has. Anything he gets in, he does well.
Right.
But a lot of people would rather that didn't happen.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But he loves it. I mean, and all that stuff happened to him, and he went and got him a sprint car and went out there and just won every time just about he showed up, and you pulled in the gate and he's sitting there, you're like, oh, guys, we're running for second tonight, you know. But, I mean, you mentioned the Killcare. I've read up on that place years ago when I was a kid in Circle Track Magazine. I mean, Mark Martin is one there, Dick Trickle, guys like that, because that track was on the ASA circuit at one time, at Artco. And, I mean, you had guys like Bob Seneker winning at that place. I mean, it's definitely a piece of short track history.
Yeah, no doubt. So Kyle Larson ends up, winning, and it wasn't really close. I mean, I watched the replay. I caught Flow Racing, and they went like a live look in, and I was thinking, wow, I'm gonna sit here and watch because Christopher Bell was there, Danny Dietrich, Rico Abreu.
That dude's amazing.
Yeah, he is. And there's 3 or 4 others that are actually in that Buddy Kofoid. I mean, they all started up front, really, but then there's some things that happened that they got spread out. But Christopher Bell was actually working with Kevin Swindell. He was running practice and coming in, and Kevin, I didn't realize this in 2015. Kevin had a bad accident in Knoxville.
Yeah.
And Jim and I had an experience at Five Flag Speedway when he was 15 when Sammy came down with their whole crew when they ran the wing sprints at Five Flags, I believe for the first time. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he ran asphalt, and it was a 410 sprinter. They took it to Mobile, and he ran around both tracks without lifting. And Sammy Swindell is my hero as far as sprint cars go. When I was a kid, and when we used to have the Nashville Network that showed sprint car racing every weekend, and man, it was always Sammy Swindell or Steve Kinzer winning. That's, I mean, legendary names in sprint car racing. Slamming Sammy Swindell, he was my hero.
Well, that Friday night when they came down, we were down on pit road and everything, and we were right in front of their car, and he goes out and he is just blistering flat-footed around this track in the wing sprint car. And the funny part is when you went to Sammy and asked him where he put them.
Yeah. Oh, I did. I said, I was over in Mobile that night. I walked over. I said, where does he put those things when he gets in? And his dad laughed. He goes, oh, his nuts? He goes, they ain't dropped yet. He's only 13 or something like that. I was just like, wow. I mean, but them kids are fearless. They ain't never been hurt. They don't know what it's like to get, you slammed the wall a few times and you wake up and your neck pops or your back pops or your arms hurt. And they don't have that experience yet.
No.
Hopefully. Well, I mean, Mr. Hendrick is behind him 100% about his dirt schedule and is going to let him, Kyle Larson anyway, not Christopher Bell, but I mean, they were in the field and I mean.
But you know what Hendrick told him? Because he said the same thing to Ken Schrader and anybody else from him. You can do all that, but if you get hurt, it's on you. That's what he told him. If you get hurt and you can't drive my race cars, that's going to be your problem. And I guarantee you there's a thing in that contract that says you ain't getting paid if you don't drive my car. You're getting your pay cut.
Right.
Hendrick's a businessman. And also, speaking of that, did you see where Jeff Gordon is taking over as vice president of Hendrick Motorsports? He's leaving Fox. He's not going to come back in the broadcast booth. He's actually going to take over. And we knew that was coming. Hendrick had already said that Jeff Gordon would take over Hendrick Motorsports when he retires.
Wow. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that Jeff Gordon's going to run the deal at Hendrick Motorsports. And I'm going to tell you why they're so much faster. They put Chad Knaus in front of the competition as competition director. You can't get a better guy than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I can't stand Jimmy Johnson. Wasn't a Jimmy Johnson fan, but one of the greatest drivers we've ever seen, 7-time champion Jimmy Johnson. And who is his crew chief?
You can't argue with that kind of
success.
No,
Chad Knaus was just, I mean, he's just, dude is just awesome. That's all you can say,
All about the business, and the business was winning. So
yeah.
That's what he did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the same thing as short track racing. You got to have a good car and a good crew behind you. But, certain guys like, Mike Garvey and guys like that stand behind these kids and work on late model cars to get these kids out there racing. Donnie Wilson, guys like that. They're spending the money and putting it out there.
Yeah, Freddie Query.
Freddie Query's a legend.
Mm-hmm.
He worked with Johanna Long when she won her snowball derby. Because we were listening to the in-car, and it was so funny to hear her say, "Yes, sir. Are you having fun out there? Yes, sir. All right, we're getting to go green here. Yes, sir."
Just go out and spank them.
Yeah.
Ask Lyndon Castle how it felt.
Well, there's a lot going on this weekend at 4th of July weekend. Happy 4th of July to everybody. Be safe and do your barbecues and keep up with that short track racing because there's a lot of it going on this weekend. A lot of it coming up through the month of July.
Yes.
And Jim's going to take the next 3 weeks and get your car buttoned up and get ready to go on the 24th. Ted, have those lenses shined up and get all the dust off of them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to be at Five Flags on the 9th of July because that's the next race. We're having the pure stocks, and I'll be out there with my buddy Ben Cranford and his 343 Pure Stock. We're going to plan on helping him race. And then the end of this month, he wants to go to Montgomery. So we're probably going to ride to Montgomery and help him up there. But also want to say happy birthday, America. We forget that we live in the greatest nation in the world. We have the best military. We've got the best police. We've just got the greatest country ever. And if it wasn't for those patriots that fought and signed the Declaration of Independence, which basically was their own death warrant, some of them, and they fought the British and won, and we have our country. And people need to remember that this is the birthday of the greatest nation in world history.
Absolutely.
Roger that. I'll second that.
God bless America.
Yep. And visit your local racetrack.
Yes. And give us a good review on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. Give us a review. You got to write something in there. Please do. Give us a 5-star if you can. Any kind of questions, feedback, or anything, you can email me at lowercase jbp07@hotmail.com, or send us one to shorttrackexclusives.com. Just please, give us a good rating and help us grow this thing, because we're going to take this to the top.
All right, guys. That's going to sum it up, and we will get back with you guys next week.
Good deal.
Y'all have a good Independence Day and keep it going.
Roger that.